What's your reaction if a CCTV camera snaps your car and the council sends you a traffic ticket?
Well, they're just robbing you every time, aren't they?
Well, this is the way they see it at the town hall.
Another record month, guys. Well done.
I'm sure members of the public would be absolutely outraged by this.
Another increase. Holidays, as expected, brings back the traffic.
No wonder people are angry.
It's not about getting a ticket.
I am not getting a ticket.
It's big business. We visit the Moneybox Junction. It generates £2 million a year for the town hall. And we come up with our own solution to help Britain's traffic ticket turmoil. Tonight on Panorama, when councils ticket drivers, are they trying to improve traffic flow or are they in it for the money? And could your town hall be next in line to target the motorist? My name is Adam Shaw and I'm in a jam. We all are. For every 3 cars that were on the road 20 years ago, there are now 4. The whole country seems clogged up with traffic jams which stretch for miles. And miles. And miles.
A25 clockwise is slow.
I'll start in Aberdeenshire. The A90 is closed in both directions.
Long delays on the A20.
Very heavy clockwise through that junction.
Slow through the Wandsworth one-way system at the moment. There's a fuel spill on the high street earlier.
At this point, you just want to turn on some sort of very relaxing classical music. Breathe out with attention.
And as traffic gets worse, councils are finding new ways of finding motorists by using CCTV. Some of them are curious to say the least, and I'm on my way to see a couple. There are even roads reserved for buses when there are no buses.
Like here in Basildon in Essex, where the local council has made this entire road a bus lane and can fine motorists for going into it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's just one problem. There are no buses on a Sunday.
7,000 drivers have been fined here, but the council says it'll review the bus lane if
there is significant support for a change from the local community.
Then I headed off to Bedford to see another befuddling bus lane.
It is only 30 yards long, but it blocks the whole of the road. If you go into it, you risk a fine. So you have to make this detour. There we are. That was a detour of, well, just over a mile, all for a bus lane built for just 4 buses an hour.
600 drivers have been ticketed here in 1 month. The council told us
There is no excuse for not realising you're driving illegally in a bus lane.
why would councils fine motorists in this way? I've come to the Midlands to try to make sense of it all. Here at Birmingham University, one of this country's leading local government experts thinks he knows. Professor John Raine says councils can't help being motivated by money, or to be precise, the lack of it.
They've never had budget cuts like they have at the moment, some 25%. Local authorities have to find the money somewhere or cut their services, and so raising charges and fines included is one area that they must be exploiting. But once you make the decision to introduce bus lanes and enforce those bus lanes, even for good traffic reasons, the hunger for the income must surely enter the mindset.
After bad publicity about overzealous traffic wardens, the number of fines for parking has actually fallen in recent years. But fines for drivers on the move, captured on CCTV, have shot up. Take councils outside London. They've been on a ticketing spree. They fined 3 times as many motorists last year as they did 5 years ago for being in a bus lane. Bath has increased bus lane tickets by 22% in 5 years, Sheffield by 50%, Brighton by 177% and Reading by 404%. In fact, Reading Council issues more bus lane tickets than anywhere else in Britain. And the man in charge of traffic here represents local authorities which are now pressing for even more powers to fine motorists. But he denies that's down to money.
This allegation that somehow we put in cameras to raise money is nonsense. We put in cameras so that buses like that run on time and that bus lanes do what they say.
But it's no wonder councils like Reading want more powers. At present, they can only use CCTV to fine motorists for one driving offence: driving in a bus lane. In the capital, it's much tougher for motorists. London boroughs can fine drivers for all sorts of other moving traffic offences too, such as stopping in box junctions and ignoring no right turns.
Councils are pretty much out for themselves.
I shouldn't be obstructed in conducting my business, and the councils make it very, very difficult for me to do my business.
In fact, in London, you can even get a moving traffic ticket for not moving. Like here, because this is a red route. If you stop here in the rush hour, these cameras can snap you. That's what happened with actor and motoring campaigner Tom Conti.
Well, I was looking for a place to park in that row back there, and I saw that someone was getting into a vehicle to leave. But I had seen a notice back there, so I parked, ran back, checked that it was all right to park, and then reversed into the space.
Sounds reasonable.
Sounds reasonable, doesn't it? Except I was given a ticket.
He got the £60 ticket cancelled, but only by going to appeal, and just 1 in 100 drivers do that. He was so incensed about the way drivers are treated that he helped set up a motorists' action group.
The punishment doesn't fit the crime at all. It's really absurdly high. I mean, you know, I could probably hit an old woman and get fined less than I would for parking a car in the wrong place. It's completely disproportionate.
And one London council, more than any other, is leading the way in fining motorists for moving traffic offences. Hammersmith and Fulham issue so many tickets that their approach is seen as a model for other councils around the country. So be very careful if you drive round here. There are 5 box junctions round this one-way system alone. Then there's this very confusing bus lane, ready to catch the unwary. Here, cars are banned between 7 and 10 a.m.
I'm riding along here and the time is just after 12 o'clock and I'm coming up to a bus lane.
But halfway down the road, the bus lane time suddenly switches. Now cars are banned from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. At just past midday, I'm now illegal.
I can't get out. Now it tells me that's between 7... I can't drive in this bus lane at all. I mean, you really have got to be... There's no warning that suddenly the rules have changed.
Hammersmith Town Hall, the nerve centre of Hammersmith and Fulham's traffic operations. At least £4.5 million worth of fines for moving traffic offences were generated from this building last year. So why do the people here seem so keen to hit the motorist? This poster might provide a clue. The borough now promotes itself as the Low Tax Council and has cut council tax for 6 out of the last 7 years. In fact, it's so proud of its record that it's even produced this cartoon, showing how much more you pay for food and fuel than in 2007 and how much less you pay in council tax.
But something else has gone up in Hammersmith and Fulham: traffic tickets. Last year, the council issued 4 times as many tickets for moving traffic offences as it did in 2007.
That's gone from more than 19,000 tickets in 2007 to over 81,000 last year. And the council issues more of those tickets here than anywhere else. The Bagley's Lane box junction is the crown jewel of CCTV sites.
This is the worst box junction in London.
Well, I've been caught twice on this one.
In the last year, so have 29,000 others, producing an income for the council of £2 million from this junction alone.
The rules about box junctions are pretty clear, and they're all here in the highway code, and basically they say you're not allowed to stop in the junction because it blocks the traffic. So if your exit path isn't clear, don't go in. There is, however, one exception, and that is if you're turning right. You are allowed to stop in the junction, but only if your exit is blocked by oncoming traffic.
If it's that straightforward, what's the problem? It's time to find out and try Bagley's Lane myself.
So wait right until you get here. I'll pause for a moment. Yeah. Wait, it's a box junction. I was saying it was just a box junction. Well, I was just having to check. I didn't delay you, did I? You see, once you do abide by the law, they all get angry with you.
Very angry. There just seems to be too much traffic at this junction, and it's not just motorists who get fed up.
We can't cross here because you have not observed the rules of the road.
I am not getting a ticket.
It's not about getting a ticket.
I am not getting a ticket.
Every day we come across here and a vehicle has not gone out onto the junction for fear of getting a fine. They block the pedestrian area and it's dangerous.
Hammersmith and Fulham said that of the 30,000 vehicles a day using the junction, only 0.2% now get a fine. The Bagley's Lane box junction is notorious, thanks largely to one man, Andrew Ash.
Excuse me, could I give you this leaflet about this junction? It's, you know, they raise a fortune.
I've been done 4 times.
4 times, have you?
And I've had 4 tickets.
Yeah.
And I think it's wrong.
I think it's wrong.
Because we call it the money box.
The money box, yeah.
He started protesting against the council after being ticketed at Bagley's Lane Junction. It's a campaign that could have implications for councils across the country, masterminded from his office nearby.
After I got caught, I wrote to the council using the Freedom of Information Act. To begin with, they refused to give me any information. And then I persevered, and I got a treasure trove of internal council documents, emails between senior officers.
The emails lifted the lid on life inside Hammersmith's traffic department.
Another record for us. Well done all.
Another good month last month. That's despite the system problems we had. So well done, everyone.
The late shift penalty charge notices helped matters, so well done, everyone.
We took the documents here to Birmingham University.
At face value, it certainly looks dreadful stuff. You can perhaps understand some of the mentalities, the mindsets that lead people to think like that. I'm shocked that it still persists, and this is recent information that you provide.
Hammersmith and Fulham described these remarks as office banter and told us that
the emails show enthusiastic staff dedicated to doing a good job, chatting amongst themselves.
We also took our evidence to one of Britain's leading traffic lawyers.
I've heard of this kind of thing happening, but to see it in black and white, I'm sure members of the public would be absolutely outraged by this. It is clear that those emails are indicative of a culture of seeking to issue as many penalty charge notices as they can. And that is completely contradictory to the purpose that the local authority is supposed to serve. Their job is to reduce the number of contraventions.
In fact, other documents show officials here were concerned when the number of tickets fell.
A worrying start as penalty charge notices seem to reduce.
We may get a negative hit on the U-turn tickets for this month.
Yet another email reveals there was even a target for the amount the council wanted to raise from errant motorists.
Dave has asked me to project manage the procurement of specialist closed-circuit TV equipment. Aim of project, to increase parking revenue. Target, additional £5 million.
Hammersmith and Fulham said this wrongly indicated that the council's aim was to increase revenue and said the email was
from a management trainee temporarily seconded to the council.
Critics say that town halls should have a very different aim when operating traffic cameras.
It's been established that the purpose of enforcement is to ensure the safe and free flow of traffic. These documents indicate to me that this local authority is motivated primarily by revenue raising.
Hammersmith and Fulham told us that
the emails do not represent the council's formal approach to enforcement or demonstrate a culture of revenue raising.
Last week, the government issued a new code of practice which said traffic cameras should be used sparingly. But 20 councils across the country now want the same powers as those in London to fine drivers for offences like stopping in box junctions.
We are convinced that 90% of motorists, if not a higher proportion, recognise that that selfish minority who abuse yellow box junctions or who make illegal right turns should be punished.
But I hear at almost every gathering of adults them complaining about a sort of unreasonable attitude on behalf of enforcement officers.
Have you ever heard somebody say, I am entitled to go through a red light, I'm entitled to go down a one-way street the wrong way? I don't think you've ever heard that. We are talking about enforcing the highway code and basic laws around using the road.
That's already happened in Wales, where the Welsh Government has just given its councils extra powers to fine motorists. Here in Bristol, the City Council is envious. It's one of those 20 authorities wanting to crack down harder on errant drivers. Council critics are worried. The operators of this transport service for the disabled believe Bristol Council is behaving so unreasonably in policing its bus lanes that it shouldn't be given any more powers to fine motorists. The council allows this minibus into the bus lane, but not the company's van, adapted to carry people in wheelchairs. They have to sit in the queue next door, or the company risks a fine.
Well, for the last 2 years, we've paid about £400 in fines, and in fact, in the last 2 months, we've paid £90 in 3 fines.
Bristol City Council could exercise discretion to waive the fines on this vehicle, but has not done so.
Each time we've had a fine, we've written to them and pleaded our case, and it's been on deaf ears, really.
They've enforced every fine?
Every time, and we have to pay it.
Bristol Council said that whilst the company's larger vehicles qualified to travel in bus lanes, the smaller vehicles did not. Back in Hammersmith and Fulham, Andrew Ash received another set of documents under the Freedom of Information Act, shedding new light on the council's traffic department.
This had been withheld in my original Freedom of Information request. And in the end, I managed to get these documents from the council through an internal review.
The council's Freedom of Information review team insisted officials released more documents, but not everyone here in the traffic department was happy with the review team's open approach.
Hi, Dave. I think the FOI team need a rap across the knuckles.
The document showed that some vehicles in Hammersmith and Fulham were dealt with harshly, but the council was much more lenient with others, like the mayor's official car.
There are parking restrictions on this road in Fulham where the former mayor lives. Her official car was parked here illegally and a penalty charge notice was issued. However, Hammersmith and Fulham cancelled that ticket, and internal documents we've seen show that the deputy head of parking services wrote, "If you receive any penalty charge notices, please send an email to me about it and I'll deal with it."
Hammersmith and Fulham said the mayor's car was only exempted from parking tickets when it was carrying high-value civic regalia. But if you're just an ordinary motorist here, be warned. The council now find it even easier to ticket you because it's just bought the very latest CCTV technology at a cost of £500,000.
The world's leading unattended traffic enforcement system. It covers bus lane and moving traffic violations using a lightweight, redeployable unit.
Zenco's ZenGrab system might sound a bit sinister, but as this glossy video shows, although ZenGrab can't grab your Zen, it might grab your money. Council employees don't even need to spot errant motorists on screen anymore. ZenGrab spots them automatically.
The system is triggered by video analytics. It tracks each vehicle and...
As these glowing testimonials from officials show, it's been bought by big players in the traffic enforcement business.
It watches all the time. It doesn't take breaks, it doesn't go to sleep, it doesn't get distracted and go and do something else.
You can't have a human being behind one of these cameras for 24/7, 365. With these cameras, they're always on. They just capture every single thing.
Well, with endorsements like that, you might think that Hammersmith and Fulham would be very keen to publicise this new system, which they've had installed in that building right behind me. But they won't let us film in their CCTV control room, and indeed, they haven't issued a single press release about it. The only way we discovered anything about the system was through documents released under the Freedom of Information Act.
With so many drivers being fined so much money, you would think Parliament would have had something to say about the way councils use traffic cameras. And you'd be right. It's passed the Human Rights Act and the Data Protection Act. These laws are supposed to protect us from excessive surveillance by CCTV. What's more, there's even a government watchdog set up to enforce the rules.
We have issued very clear guidance in the past, and this includes making sure you do an impact assessment first to see whether the use of CCTV, which is quite a powerful surveillance technology, is used where it's proportionate and not used for the most minor of misdemeanours.
We asked Hammersmith and Fulham if any impact assessments had been carried out for any of its traffic cameras. It replied,
"We do not have this information."
And we've discovered there's other crucial information the council doesn't hold, like whether the cameras do their job by reducing congestion. Traffic has reduced in this area, but when we asked if this was due to CCTV, the council replied,
"The council holds information about traffic flow in the borough, but not the relationship between traffic flow and CCTV.
You'd expect them to have done some work to see what changes CCTV have brought about in driver behaviour.
And if they haven't, that raises a question, doesn't it?
I think it would certainly call into question whether that process is fair and lawful.
It's a contentious matter, but whatever the position, officials here can sleep easy. Only a handful of councils have been reported to the Information Commissioner's Office for breaking CCTV guidance.
Images from CCTV cameras result in a mountain of tickets every single year, many of them incorrect. So how do we reduce that? Well, there are a number of possible solutions.
One would be to curb the operations of the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority. As Zenco's glossy video is so keen to tell us, when ZenGrab photographs a number plate, councils have access to the DVLA's database, which stores the details of every vehicle owner in the country. At the touch of a button, the DVLA pass on the owner's details to the councils and gets paid for them. But it makes no checks on whether any of the tickets are valid. Campaigners are lobbying government for change.
It's amazing, isn't it, how eager the council are to issue tickets, how happy the DVLA are to hand over people's details so those fines can be sent out. It is wholly wrong for the DVLA to simply wash their hands and say nothing to do with us. They are the nub of this problem. They are the source of the information that's driving this revenue.
The DVLA said it took its duties over its data very seriously and operated a stringent system regarding its use. Prices charged were set just to cover costs. Another solution. Why not stop the councils from keeping the cash from the fines they impose, removing the financial incentive to punish motorists? Maybe then they wouldn't be quite so keen to put up another traffic camera.
The councils are able to retain income. If the health inspectors find unhealthy food, they have to prosecute in the courts, and the court fines go to the Exchequer. End of story.
But when a council fines you for a moving traffic offence, it gets to keep the cash.
Correct.
And you think that's wrong?
I do, and I always have.
But we've got a solution of our own. Clearer signs warning motorists not to break the rules and what the consequences will be if they do. Hammersmith and Fulham says it's been actively working to reduce the number of tickets at the Bagley's Lane box junction. So we thought we'd help out. For 60 minutes, we counted the number of vehicles getting stuck in the junction during the morning rush hour. Then we put up a couple of signs warning people about the junction.
Well, we've just counted 29 vehicles stuck in that box junction in the past hour, but that's 25% fewer than before we put up our signs, despite the fact that there's a lot more traffic now.
I thought I'd better tell the council.
I've put up a couple of signs on the posts here, just warning people about it and telling them that they must obey the box junctions. I thought that might be helpful, and I thought you'd want to know I did that, if that's okay.
Hammersmith and Fulham later told us,
reducing congestion makes a real difference to the quality of local residents' lives and has resulted in a consistent reduction in the number of fines issued at our most congested sites. Before we started enforcing, some drivers knew they could get away with blocking junctions or driving in bus lanes. They now know they will get a penalty charge.
Hammersmith and Fulham aren't very pleased with me, despite the fact that we told them our signs have led to a big drop in the number of vehicles breaking the law. The council told me I've got to take them down.
So it's back to normal at Bagley's Lane and in town halls up and down the country.
Well, we all know that we're easy targets. People like and need their cars, and that no matter how they hit us, we will continue to drive.
It's not a case of being anti-motorist, it's a case of being pro-road user and simply enforcing the regulations that we all have to abide by.
There needs to be a major overhaul of the system. Sadly, where this kind of money is at stake, I'm not sure that that's coming anytime soon.